Sure, here's a short HFY, humanity. Fuck yeah. Sci-fi story titled Human Wears Alien Death Suit, Now Everyone's Furious. Human wears alien death suit, now everyone's furious. No one expected the human to survive contact with the Varkathi war suit. The suit was a relic of destruction, engineered by an extinct alien race whose entire philosophy revolved around total war. The Varkathi built it to annihilate fleets with a thought, to terraform planets into weapons, and to bind itself to only the most aggressive and evolved minds in the galaxy. No one had worn it since the Varkathi burned themselves out in a supernova of their own making, until a human tried it on. His name was Corporal Mason Briggs. He wasn't special. Infantry grunt, half cybernetic from a previous battle, quiet, angry, haunted. But when the coalition forces found the Varkathi warsuit in a derelict ship, he was the one who volunteered to test it. Everyone assumed the suit would reject him, or worse, vaporize him. It didn't. It bonded. And that's when everything went to hell. The moment Briggs stepped into the suit, his vitals spiked, then stabilized. The suit's dormant systems blinked to life, recognizing him as its new pilot. In seconds, he went from being a man in a shell to a god wrapped in metal. The war suit hummed with ancient energy, weapon systems came online, AI, constructs in alien tongues whispered strategies into his brain. His body moved faster than thought, and his voice carried commands in subharmonic frequencies that bent drones to his will. He asked for a target. They gave him an asteroid as a test. He turned it into a sun. The coalition was furious. The suit was supposed to be studied, locked away, used as leverage, not worn by a human who didn't know when to stop. Worse, Briggs didn't return it. He left. Started flying solo. Word spread, he was raiding pirate fleets, vaporizing slavers, breaking up corrupt outposts on fringe worlds. But each act of justice was carried out with cataclysmic force. Entire fleets vanished, planets trembled. He wasn't just wearing the suit, he was evolving with it. And the alien races of the galaxy? They were terrified, because the war suit hadn't changed Briggs, it had chosen him, it had adapted to him. And humans are very good at learning how to wage war. They called him the Iron Ghost. Not quite machine, not quite man, just enough fury to scare 1,000 species and just enough purpose to keep going. Now, every council, every dominion, every empire is demanding Earth recall its rogue sun. But Earth has only one message for the stars. You made the suit, we made the man. And he's not done yet. Let me know if you'd like a longer version or a series built on this premise. Absolutely, here's part 2 of Human Wears Alien Death Suit, Now Everyone's Furious. Part 2, Ghost Protocol. The Kthari swarm had ruled the Vega Arm for over a century. Organic war machines, hive-minded and merciless. They didn't negotiate. They didn't retreat. Until the Iron Ghost arrived. The first reports came from a mercenary listening post. The stars blinked out for 3 seconds. When the light returned, the Kthari mothership, miles wide, living metal, pulsing with bioplasma, was gone. Not destroyed. Erased. No wreckage, no signal, just absence. That's when the galaxy realized Mason Briggs wasn't playing hero. He was pruning the tree of life, and he had just decided who didn't belong. The coalition convened an emergency session. Holograms of furious diplomats lit up the galactic forum. He's destabilizing entire sectors. He's committing acts of war. He's a human in a war crime with legs. Earth's representative leaned back in her chair, hands folded, unbothered. He's acting independently. We've disavowed him. It was a lie. Briggs still sent them data packets, enemy fleet layouts, smuggler routes, research on ancient weapons. He was doing their dirty work at hyperspeed. Unofficially, Earth had never been more pleased. Officially, he was rogue. That's when the real problem showed up. An object entered coalition space, moving faster than known physics allowed, blacker than void, surrounded by gravitational distortions. The Varkathi. Not extinct. Just waiting. They had seen the war suit activate, seen it bond with a new host, and now they were coming to reclaim it. Or destroy it. And suddenly, everyone needed Mason Briggs. The problem? He wasn't answering calls. He was already moving toward the approaching Varkathi fleet. Because the warsuit was talking now, and it was saying one thing over and over in his mind. They are not your gods, they are your prey. Let me know when you want part 3, it's about to get mythic. Alright, time for part 3, the last Varkathi. Part 3, the last Varkathi. The Varkathi fleet shimmered into real space above the scorched moon of Fel Saran. Hundreds of black spires drifted through the void, living ships, each older than humanity's entire recorded history. They moved like predators, silent and sure. At their heart was a single voice, deep, cold, reverent. Return the suit, human, or we return you to dust. Mason Briggs stood alone on the moon's surface. No backup, no fleet, just him, and the warsuit, now visibly changed. It had grown. Varkathi tech was never static. It evolved. The longer Briggs wore it, the more it adapted, not just to him, but for him. Armor plates had shifted, grown leaner, faster. Weapons that once hummed now roared. The suit had become something entirely new. And it was hungry. He answered their demand with a whisper. Come take it. The first wave hit like the wrath of gods. Energy blasts melted mountains. Gravity bombs cracked the moon's crust. Varkathi drones swarmed the battlefield in a haze of death. Briggs moved like a thought, blink jumping between drone clouds, shattering hulls with kinetic punches, burning ancient alloys with Varkathi-made plasma reborn in human hands. Every time he killed one, the suit absorbed it, learned, shifted. It was feeding on its own creators. On the flagship, the Varkathi Prime watched in stunned silence. This human. He wasn't just using the suit. He was rewriting it. The warsuit was supposed to suppress emotion, limit empathy, make perfect soldiers. But it had found something better, a creature of will and fury, with empathy, one who chose to fight not for programming, but purpose. The suit had learned fear. Now it had learned choice. And it had chosen him. The Varkathi Prime initiated the final protocol, total collapse. If they couldn't reclaim the suit, they'd detonate their entire fleet, tear open a singularity and take Briggs with them. The galaxy could not survive a human bonded with Varkathi god tech. But before the countdown reached 0, Briggs spoke. Not through comms. Through the network. He hacked them, his thoughts riding the Varkathi signal like a virus. No gods, no masters, just consequences. And then he fired. One beam. Pierced the flagship. Straight through the Prime. The rest of the fleet? Dead in orbit before they even knew they were next. Silence fell over Fel Saran. The war was over before most knew it began. And somewhere deep in the stars, 100 empires shivered, because the last of the Varkathi had come, and the human one. He didn't keep the warsuit. It kept him. Want part 4? Next stop, the ghost becomes a legend. Hell yeah, time for part 4, the Legend Protocol. Part 4, the Legend Protocol. The Varkathi were gone. Officially this time. No more black spires in the void, no whispers in the ancient dark, just memory, and one man wearing their final testament. Mason Briggs. The ghost. Except now, he wasn't a ghost, he was myth. Whispers spread through the stars like solar flares. Some said he ascended to another plane, fusing completely with the suit. Others said he was building a new kind of army, recruiting the broken and abandoned. A few believed he had died after the Varkathi War, and that the suit kept walking. But the truth? He was still moving. He no longer answered Earth's calls. He didn't need their approval. Because after Fel Saran, something woke up. The suit began detecting hidden Varkathi vaults across the galaxy, buried weapons, dormant constructs, lost AI hives still running silent calculations in deep time. And Briggs? He hunted them. He didn't destroy them. He liberated them. Not for conquest, but for balance. He started reshaping the galaxy's power web, knocking tyrants off their thrones, arming rebel moons with tech that could make empires bleed. He dropped relics on backwater worlds, blueprints, nanoforges, fusion seeds. He didn't rule, he elevated. And that terrified everyone. Because for the first time in galactic history, Power wasn't held by the biggest fleet or oldest bloodline. It was held by an idea. And the Iron Ghost was delivering it by hand. One empire offered him 1,000,000,000,000 credits to stand down. He dropped a Varkathi thought virus into their treasury AI, turned their currency into digital ash in 6 seconds. Another offered him a fleet. He burned it in orbit and left a message. I am not your weapon, I am your reckoning. Eventually, the coalition stopped trying to track him. But they started noticing patterns. Each system he visited bloomed within cycles, crime vanished, warlords vanished harder, trade exploded, and the people, they rose up. He was building something. Not an empire. A network. A future without chains. Legends formed fast. Miners on Terral 4 claimed they saw him redirect an asteroid with a wave of his hand. A junker in the void claimed Briggs saved his dying ship with a Varkathi energy shard, then vanished into slipspace. A child on Caliph Prime? She said he spoke to her in a dream. The next day, her slum had power for the first time in 20 years. True, who knows? But the stars began to believe in something again. And it wore armor made for extinction. You ready for part 5? Because war's coming. Someone doesn't like what the ghost is building. Let's go part 5, The Empire That Bites Back. Part 5, The Empire That Bites Back. Every myth awakens a monster. The more systems the Iron Ghost uplifted, the more one name came up, whispered in old corridors and behind redacted files. The Dominion of Syndralis. A shadow empire. They didn't fly banners or broadcast their rule. They didn't sit on thrones, they owned the ones who did. Hidden in the folds of old space, the Dominion had built their legacy on control, fear, silence, subjugation through economic collapse, blackmail, gene code sabotage. Where the Varkathi had wielded fear through destruction, the Dominion wielded it through dependence. They didn't want the warsuit. They wanted Briggs erased. They started small. Systems he'd helped? Hit with plagues engineered to bypass Varkathi nanomed tech. Trade lanes? Jammed with phantom ships and AI false flag attacks. His name? Blacklisted, rewritten, labeled terrorist in 100 languages. And then came the Blackthorn Protocol. A hunter. Not a fleet, not a ship. One being, grown in a Dominion lab, a mimic, a metapredator. It was designed to match the warsuit, feed off its energy signature, learn from Briggs' every move. And it had one command: erase the anomaly. The first fight happened in the ruins of Station Karas. No witnesses, just two entities colliding in deep vacuum. The thorn moved like spilled ink, adaptive, fluid, invisible to sensors. It stabbed through reality with edge-dimensional claws. It bled anti-energy. Briggs was faster. But not smarter. The mimic learned. It copied his style, his strikes, even his hesitation when civilians were nearby. And it used them. He barely escaped, wounded. The suit's systems rebooting, for the first time uncertain. The thorn didn't chase him. It waited. Because it knew something, fear spreads. And now the galaxy began to wonder, was the ghost still untouchable? Was the myth just a man? But here's the thing. Mason Briggs was never the strongest, never the fastest. He was the most human. And when humans get pushed to the edge, they adapt. He didn't just patch the suit, he let it evolve, let it merge deeper, opened parts of himself he'd kept locked since the wars on Earth. Pain, rage, loss. The suit didn't reject it. It weaponized it. And now? He was hunting the thorn back. Next stop, Part 6, Predator vs. Ghost. You ready for the showdown? Let's light the fuse, Part 6, Predator vs. Ghost. Part 6, Predator vs. Ghost. The thorn waited in dead space. A scar between systems, no stars, no heat, just void and echoes. A place the old empires erased from charts for fear it might remember them. Perfect hunting grounds. The Iron Ghost arrived exactly on time. No army, no backup, just Briggs and the warsuit, now darker, sleeker, humming with a new resonance. Whatever he'd unlocked, it was no longer just tech. It was intent. The thorn didn't waste time. It struck from every angle, distorting light, bending distance, phasing in and out like a glitch in reality. Its claws sang through dimensions, trailing entropy. It had beaten him before. But this time? Briggs didn't dodge. He absorbed. The suit opened like a black flower, its armor fractalizing, drawing in the thorn's strikes, sinking to its frequency. Every attack became data. Every wound became a weapon. The ghost learned faster. Because he wasn't just fighting. He was teaching. And then it happened. The thorn paused mid-strike. It hesitated. That's when Briggs spoke. You're not a weapon. You're a prisoner. He'd figured it out. The thorn wasn't just Dominion tech, it was part human, genetically spliced from captured soldiers, memory mapped from broken minds, wrapped in synthetic hate. And deep inside, under all the code and claw and mimicry, was fear. It's fear. The war suit pulsed. Not with energy, but with connection. Briggs didn't just defeat the thorn. He freed it. The mimic's body collapsed, twitching, shifting, until it stood still, silent, watching. Then, wordlessly, it turned and slipped away into slipspace. No longer a hunter. Now, something else. But peace is never quiet for long. Because the Dominion? They saw it all. They realized they hadn't built a predator. They'd built a mirror. And in trying to destroy a myth, they'd created another one. Briggs knew what was coming next. The Dominion wouldn't send another assassin. They'd send everything. And the warsuit's whisper came back, colder than ever. Prepare for extinction protocol. Coming up next, Part 7, The War to Unmake Stars. Ready for Briggs versus the Dominion full force?